How is everybody? Everybody making it through the scorched earth? Well, it looks like the scorched earth theme is slowing, degrading, waning. And in the week of August 24th through the 30th, now we get a little bit of contraction, actually, a lot of contraction, unfortunately. A lot of the influences that we're going to talk about are supporting this thing that feels like constriction and retreat and escapism. So, but we got a full moon. Isn't that going to be exciting? It's conjunct with Saturn, so it's a little bit more challenging, but we'll get into all that. More importantly than this influence is the solution, in my opinion, because this week in particular, we have one of those cases where, you have one particular influence, a main influence, in this case, the Great Contraction, and it feels like people are going to want to escape. And so what do we do instead? So this is one of those cases like in DBT or dialectical behavioral therapy where, I know you're feeling one thing, but we're going to have you do a different thing. And then that's one of the techniques is doing the opposite. Not necessarily the opposite in this case, but make sure you stay for the solution. In my opinion, this week is the most important part, and the solution we're going to talk at the end of this video. All right, that being said, there is a lot to cover in the astrology, but first, the Dreambot. It's basically expansive and outward, but also constricted and consolidation oriented. So got two polar opposite memes there. The I-Ching sways us towards the retreat part or the constriction part. And then the astrology has all of it. We've got the sun fresh into Virgo. We have a waning grand earth trine. So the grand earth trine continues in the first half of this CIRF week. And then it'll start breaking up. And it breaks up with Mars going into Libra, in a detriment, by the way, and the Mercury retrograde. So they're just kind of floating away from each other at the apex in the Virgo pinnacle there. And then the sun opposed Saturn is the big one for this retreat. Saturn's going to stay there and be conjunct with the moon at the end of our week for I think the Dreambot's all over it. It's going to feel, the full moon is expansive. It makes people unpredictable, heightens emotions. Those can be celebratory, can be really negative. It reduces our sleep, so we're kind of a little more wired. That's a real thing. If you look up full moons and new moons, we humans tend to sleep less around those times. So people are going to be a little bit more wired, and that full moon is in Pisces conjunct with Saturn. All right, there's our overview. Let's get into the details, shall we? A big shout out to John Doe. I think the handle changed, or maybe there's a second John Doe. But congratulations, big shout out. I've been following the CIRF report for over 3 years. I wouldn't have continued watching it if it wasn't consistently accurate. Oh, that feels good. I don't make it about me. Remember, these are technologies that anybody can do, right? So I'm just the messenger. But shout out to John Doe. Congrats for winning the best comment of the week. Here's the Dreambot. Number one word is great. So we can already see how things are up and out, boastful and shouting and raise and lots of feelings there. That sort of feels more like Jupiter, and Jupiter just happens to be on the grand earth trine over with Uranus. And then you have the blue arrows. This is the opposite. It's constriction, consolidation, and that tends to be more commensurate with Saturn. And Saturn does play a couple of different roles this week. So he's got a big role to play. Unfortunately, probably the biggest reason we feel this great contraction. And then for the astrology, got to get it back. There we go. Look at all these retrograde planets. currently Venus, Saturn, Neptune, Pluto, and Mercury. And then we have Mars right in the middle of our week going into Libra in detriment, so weakened. We'll talk about what that means. And we have the full moon at the end and a lot going on in between. All right, Thursday, the 24th. Here's where we go day by day talking about the astrology. There is so much. You could easily probably do a 2-hour show just on the astrology on any one of these days. The first day of the week, this Thursday, the 24th, there's a lot, and then it all sort of changes by the next Wednesday. So the last day, the first day and the last day, there's a lot of changes happening. And so we start with the grand Earth trine. This should be, grounded, earthy, practical, and yes, but it's very disruptive because you have Pluto on one corner, you have Uranus on the other. And look, there's Jupiter and Uranus technically in a conjunction, loose conjunction, that can include kind of an expansive or positive optimistic change in the material world. And you're seeing all those changes. Now, Pluto is more of the destroyer. You're seeing Earth being destroyed right now. We'll just leave it at that. And then on the other corner, we have Mercury and Mars. And Mercury is in retrograde, so moving away from Mars. Mars will soon enter into Libra. But we have a few days where our activity, our ability to get things done is good. Okay, so here's our first solution-based suggestion. First and foremost, remember we have I forgot to put the lunar phases on here. We are in a Leo moon phase, even though the sun now is in Virgo. The last new moon was in Leo. So we're now entering, this is exact time at 4:57 a.m. on Thursday, the 24th, is the exact time of the first quarter moon. And what that means is a milestone to really start ramping up your goals and getting those goals done, those Leo goals that you set at the new moon. This is the time. Now, it's kind of a crunch time. Here's one version of retreat and constriction, is that you only get a few days of Mars in Virgo. Mars in Virgo can get a lot of small projects done, even big projects, but you have the full yang ability of Mars. That changes when Mars goes into Libra, and that's going to be, I think, Sunday. We'll go through that. I'll give you the exact time, actually. And then now your ability to get goals done really starts to diminish in addition to the sun oppose Saturn, where things just really get difficult and constricted and challenging. All right. And all that tends to happen right at the same time. So it's like a turning point on, I think, Sunday, but I'll get there. All right. So we're still on Thursday, the 24th. This is your time. So Thursday, Friday, and Saturday are your big main days of getting stuff done for your Leo goals. It doesn't mean you can't get anything done after that, but things are just harder. Your Mars is weakened in Libra, and so it behooves you to get on those Leo goals now, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. All right, but other than that, so we now have a first quarter moon in Sagittarius. So you got a little bit more fire under your belt, plus you got full up Mars. And we have a T-square on the moon. Now, the whole nature of a first quarter moon is technically a 90-degree between moon and sun. And you can see that there, but both the moon and the sun are both in a T-square, meaning that there's a lot of tension in the air. This is the constriction. This is one of the constrictions. The other constriction is sun opposed Saturn, and that's very challenging, but they're about 3 degrees orb right now, and that will get tighter, and that will, guess what day that goes exact? On Sunday. Sunday or in the wee hours of the morning. Now let's take a step out and let's look at the earth signs here. Overall, we have a lot of earth signs. We have 6. And immutable signs, meaning adaptability and able to change and morph and change direction, is 6 signs. So we have the one planet or the one zodiac sign that is earth and mutable is Virgo. And so you have an undertow, an overall context, a very Virgo-ness. Now, in addition, you also have 3 big planets in Virgo. So that's makes it even more profound. Virgo. And so the context from which we play, the sand pit, is discriminate, detailed, industrious, so you can get stuff done. That behooves you to get your Leo goals done. It can be critical and modest and very analytical. Let's see what else here. So, yeah, you've got the grand earth trine and able to feel grounded, but it might feel like it's ending if you're Pluto, or changing if it's Uranus, and both of those together teaming up with each other, changing our physical reality. That can be very disruptive. And then the double T-square, sun and moon both in a T-square. Yikes. All right, take a breath and let's move into Friday, because a lot of the squares are going away. This is drying up here. This is the Venus square Jupiter. It made it really hard to feel optimistic. And thankfully that is drying up, although when Venus turns direct again, we'll have to deal with that again. We have 1.5 degrees, so it's starting to get really tight orb, meaning that this energy between Sun and Saturn in Pisces is getting stronger, climaxing here in a couple of days. And that makes the ego feel constricted. And that's sort of a match with this Virgo analytical and discriminate sort of orientation to the ego. Can now feel challenged and limited and controlled. And so it wants to break out, probably wants to start retreating or escaping. All right, now we have unlocks big power. This is Mars and Pluto. I'm talking about this quite a bit in a lot of different situations, but you have a trine between the outward power, Mars, the ability to get stuff done in the physical world, and Pluto is the power from within, the subconscious power. And this is near perfect, right? 28 degrees in Virgo and 28 degrees in Capricorn. And so this energy is flowing easily between 2 big power players. So it feels very, very powerful. That matches that Dreambot with expansive and outward. Saturday the 26th, you can see these two are peeling away from each other. Mercury in a retrograde, Mars just on the precipice of going into Libra. So this is the first signs of kind of our deterioration of the grand earth trine. This is Saturday. We have a 0.5, so we're nearing perfection on this opposition with the Sun and Saturn. And we have the moon with kind of another T-square, so kind of an inner conflict there, damned if I do, damned if I don't. This is where once the moon leaves Sagittarius, we're back into our yearning for goals and aspirations with Capricorn. But this Sun opposed Saturn could really, throw some new wrenches, some new hurdles, might feel limited in our resources. Financially might be commensurate with the 2 financiers in the zodiac, Venus and Jupiter, in a square together. So That just doesn't bode well to the financial realm either. So resources in Saturn can include limited resources in just about anything that you need. Hence the contraction. All right, Sunday the 27th at 3:28 a.m. Central Daylight Savings Time. This is when Sun opposed Saturn is exact. So here's Saturn in Pisces. Here's the Sun in Virgo, 3 degrees of Virgo, almost 4 degrees. And it's exact, meaning that this is going to be the climax of ego's feeling of constriction and hardship and difficulty. Now enter, I'm going to try to drag this other chart in because this is at 8:20 a.m. So just a few hours later, Mars goes into Libra right there and still maintains, this is a double grand Earth trine. So although the technically one of the grand Earth trines with Mercury is still strong, but the Mars one is decaying out because it's not a grand Earth trine anymore, as noted here. So on Monday now we have a grand trine. Okay. We still do have Mercury with a waning grand Earth trine, but it's starting to peel away from each other, starting to degrade out of the orb. And with Mars really going into detriment right here in Libra, it's just hard to get stuff done. And so we take the word Earth out. You can even see the Earth planets. Oh, I guess you can't. It's kind of off the side, off the right side. Sorry about that. Earth planets, we have 5 of them. And so already the earthy dominance is starting to decay. Tuesday, now officially the grand trine is gone. Now, still a lot of trines, but the grand Earth trine has, for the most part, departed. So the Earth dominance is decreasing. We have a T-square on Jupiter. This is the pressure to feel expansive, to feel positive and optimistic. And it's a trap. And it's part of the financial spectrum because of the Venus and Jupiter square. And then, of course, we still have a very tight Sun opposed Saturn. So things feel constricted. We have Jupiter feeling constricted. We have Saturn making the ego feel constricted. So think about it. Putting all these pieces together here on Tuesday, look how the ego feels like, the Saturn makes the ego feel constricted because the Sun is in Virgo and wants to get things done. But now my ability to get things done with Mars in Libra, just everything's weakened. Plus we've got the change and the decimation happening with Pluto and Uranus, the grand Earth trine, or the grand trine that is no longer. All right, here's a glorious day. It's not particularly going to feel the best because remember, full moons are sort of unpredictable and highly emotional. This one in particular in Pisces, 7 degrees, 25 minutes of Pisces, but that's not the only thing happening. 4 degrees away is conjunct Saturn. There's Saturn again. So it's a more of a restrictive, challenging full moon. These two are mixed together. It's in Pisces. So there is an element of spirituality, of lots and lots of emotion, maybe some cynicism or sarcasm with the coldness of Saturn, with the emotions in Pisces of this alignment emotions become obstacles. And we have a chance of being a little bit more sarcastic and cold and maybe a little controlling, but unpredictable is the full moon. So unpredictable oneness. And that is our segue into the solution, but not quite yet. But just remember this, unpredictable oneness, because Pisces is the connected zodiacal sign We could also look at this as like spiritual challenges, not that they're absolute challenges. The way that we are perceiving them, we can perceive them as, why am I being so spiritually challenged? Get this though, it's not just 4 degrees away, the moon and Saturn. The moon and Saturn are also parallel, exactly at the same inclination. So that brings the intensity up. So now we have legitimate high intensity Saturn conjunct moon in Pisces. And it feels like, I put the picture in our solution slide, basically with Houdini, with all of the chains. This is kind of the Saturn approach, feeling constricted and confined, but then upside down in water. That's what Houdini did. And he got out of that in a straitjacket and everything, upside down in water. That's kind of the visual here. That is this alignment. So the Pisces attributes are impressionable, idealistic, very emotional, spiritual, can tend to be vague. This is kind of the tendency to be escape artist, or want to, or urge to just leave the room. But they're also very compassionate and very together, very connected. Together meaning together with other people, just feeling that oneness is our opportunity with Pisces. All right. Shall we move into the I-Ching? No surprise that we see the retreat, right? We're just talking about escapism, but we have escapism with Saturn. So Saturn shows up with all these hurdles and challenges, and you're like, screw that. I'm out of here. That's the feeling of escapism from the Great Contraction. Strategic retreat is not to be confused with escape or surrender. There it is. There's Pisces. It means that even though you want to escape, that's not necessarily the solution. Nevertheless, a well-timed retreat may require quick and nimble movement in order to take up a new position before you are damaged by a current threat. You are not admitting defeat by such action, but increasing your options by preserving your energy and other resources. In general, retreat can also mean it's necessary to start slowing down, either letting go or moving back to a better position for your future. Okay. And just read line 2, because that's our change line. This changing line refers to a situation where someone of integrity is under attack. Okay. Or is being vigorously pursued by an opposing force. In such a treacherous situation, movement in the face of danger is essential. So one thing's for sure, you may want to feel like escaping, but it may be just any movement, and it's facing danger in this time. Retreating when under attack rather than engaging in direct confrontation can also create the advantage of gaining sympathy for your cause. Here's the energy chart that I've got. So we clearly have that continuation early on of the Earth dominance. It's clear. It's absolutely clear. So it's the highest at the beginning of the week. And once that grand trine reduces, or grand Earth trine reduces to grand trine and then starts to disengage, that starts to wane. And the presence of the Great Contraction, complete with mainly Saturn, but all the other alignments that we talked about, that tends to increase and maximize on Sunday. And then again, it pops up again at the full moon, because this is when it perfects. So this is when Sun opposed Saturn perfects. That's on Sunday, wee hours of the morning. And then it pops up again at the full moon, because the moon will be conjunct with Saturn and be parallel too. So it's probably should be even higher than this. It's very intense on Wednesday, and it's late Wednesday. I don't think I told you when that full moon was. It's at 8:35 p.m. Central Daylight Savings Time. All right, on to, let's button up the solution here. I'm sorry, the influence here. And here's my Houdini. There, zoom in. We're calling this week the Great Contraction. I explained why. But we've got Houdini in chains, so definitely feeling constricted, even more constricted underwater in Pisces, and just wants to escape. But Houdini, if anybody could do it, I think he died trying to do this unsuccessfully, but that can happen. Try to escape and you can't. The Virgo backdrop escalates into dominance as Sun perfectly opposes Saturn. It's the Great Contraction. Even the grander trine, as it breaks apart at the Virgo apex, just can't endure the transformation, decimation, that's Pluto, and change, that's Uranus, that is taking place in the material world. We conclude with a full moon in Pisces, conjunct Saturn and parallel Saturn, where feelings of contracted or pent-up emotion, floaty spirituality, depleting empathy as the rise of resentment and sarcasm come into play. And then how about this one? Unearned self-sacrifice. That'll build resentment like no other. And that'll be at the full moon probably for some of you, unearned self-sacrifice, but you're going to do it anyway, even though you shouldn't. That'll be resentment. We'll have many of us saying, can we go now? I.e. escapism. A lot of us will want to escape, but the solution doesn't say that we should escape. So let's go back to the solution triangulation. So when we put the change line in to the I-Ching, we get 44. And it says, be wary of temptations that arise because of the power of your position. Conversely, your connection to someone in an important position. Combat temptations to take unfair advantage of power differentials by nipping them in the bud. Can you imagine when everyone feels constricted and challenged, some of them are going to take that opportunity for a power move, to take more power, and that's supported by Mars trine Pluto that we talked about. It's just easy power, and that's the middle of the week, so Saturday and Sunday, where this is the highest, even though the contraction is all week, and probably the highest on the full moon. When honorable and balanced, there are indeed times when a rendezvous of the yielding and strong turns out to be a great opportunity for a positive and constructive relationship. So I think in hard times, people coming together is the message here for our solution. It's about finding your tribe, finding a community that you can belong to and you can add value to. Here's our full moon. We're going to put this in our conversion calculator, and we get 7 degrees of Pisces. It puts us at 37 in the rave zodiac. And then we get sidereal Aquarius. So now we're going to put all that together. But first, here's the rave. It's hexagram 37, which is the family. And so you can already see it's a direct overlap with the I-Ching solution. It is responsibility. The understanding of the principle of individual responsibility is the foundation for successful cooperation. The possibility of friendship through individual responsibility. So it is it's a combination of Aquarius, that's the individuality, individual responsibility, and the I-Ching, which is a great time for constructing relationships that are optimized by utility. And then you got rave. I mean, this is just a perfect triangulation. So let's do this. Isn't it amazing that when the influences hit us the hardest, we in turn get the most congruent CIRF solution, making it high confidence. This week's Great Contraction will spawn a magical spectacle in the social spectrum. As egos feels challenged, it will be hard, but tribal community is the best solution in all cases. I mean, imagine, I'm going to pause here. Imagine trying to get away from all this contraction and hardship. So you go off to the mountains and you try to live out there on your own. It's very, very difficult, if sometimes impossible, because you don't possibly have all the resources you need, maybe in limited time. But the point is, it's best to turn to your tribal and community. If you don't have one, you need to get one. And this is a great week to do that. And if you want to, I didn't think about this earlier, but if you want to combine this with your Leo goals, this is a very Leo thing to do, because Leo is more of a, friendly and charismatic, but also a leader. You can be the leader of this tribe as well and make that your Leo goals if you didn't have any. Be advised that intention on this social thing and tribe thing, intention absolutely matters. Don't be seeking new connections for any type of self-gain. Step back in sidereal Aquarian manner and calmly view the social magic from a distance. That's what Aquarians are specialized in, is they can be the observer. They can sit by and just watch. And I want you to do that initially. Watch people struggling through the contraction. View the social magic from a distance. But when approached, engage softly, kindly, just like an Aquarian. Be the knowledge base and the great advisor. Teach people how to be self-sufficient. It's another Aquarian trait. They are worried about humanity, but they also want to be self-sufficient. They feel like they already are. In short, just do your thing. Be friendly and remain open to the possibility of new utilitarian connections. In other words, connections that are useful. That matches the Virgo-ness of this whole landscape. It's very Virgo. It's very earthy, and it's practical. It's for a purpose, and that's utilitarian energies that are leaking into this solution. So not just fun connections, but connections that actually help. And if no connection opportunities approach you, remain the observer. It is what it is, nothing more. Don't make more of what it is. So my statement for myself is only the right people will enter my life. Okay. And you know what? I had to choose between putting the upstairs thermostat in last night because we got hit hard on the lightning. Still don't have everything done, and so I didn't have time to do the runes this week. I really like the runes, and I fully intend on getting back into those. I apologize for not having them. And I also apologize for not having that moon phase up. I really like that diagram. I keep forgetting to put it on. All right, everybody. This is, in my opinion, one of the hardest weeks that we've been facing, but we have the solution right here. It's watch from the sidelines, but be out and about, or at least be available. Be available to be approached, and let your tribe come to you as you conjure that up, and be approachable, be kind, be soft, be aware that everyone is going to feel a little out of control, and they're going to be exhibiting some escapism, probably drugs and alcohol going up, addictions going back up. Not trusting people will be there as well. So, look out for yourself, but don't live in fear, and be confident that this solution is probably your go-to. There's other things we need to do, such as the Leo goals. Get those done on the front end of the week. Get them done before the weekend is my suggestion. And that's for the Leo new moon goals, because it'll be harder once Mars goes into Libra. Other than that, there's a lot here, I know, and I'm trying to keep this simple. It's basically find your tribe, be in your tribe, be with your tribe, be with the right people, right? And it's useful for you, but don't take it for granted. Don't take the power move in it. Don't You don't need to extract value from the tribe. Watch out for doing that. Don't steal from the tribe. Don't self-gain, but just be a part of it and add value. If you can do that, be part of it. All right, everybody. We'll see you next week. And we'll get this humanity thing turned around, all right? Promise to do it. Oh, you know what? I forgot to do I do have one more thing. I'm going to be on a live show tonight. So anybody watching on the 23rd of August, tonight at 6:30 Central, there's a Zoom show that's going to be starting. And I'm going to be talking about dreams. No, you don't have to be there. It's not like I'm responsible to bring a bunch of people in. But if you want to be a part of that, you can. It's a Zoom meeting. I will put that in the show notes below, the link and the code. I'll also post that over on Telegram so that you can get to it if you're interested. It's totally up to you. And I look forward to that. That's tonight on the 23rd. I don't know if there'll be a recorded show for later, but there might be. All right, here's to hoping I don't look jaundiced the whole show, but at least I don't now. See you guys. Love to all.